In this Star Wars FPS game news update video, I am going to be sharing with you the reaction from the Respawn developers who were working on this now cancelled game. They have spoken out, talking about how it was going to be incredible and more. We have more developments on this story, but before we do get into today's video though, make sure you do subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any future Star Wars gaming news updates. So late last night, in case you missed my previous video, EA cancelled Respawn's upcoming Star Wars FPS game. That's right, just a week ago we got a leak that this game was going to be a bounty hunting Mandalorian game, and based on what we had heard, it sounded fantastic. Respawn are the kings of the first-person shooter genre, and they have such a long legacy in it, delivering incredible games. So this was a project so many people had been longing for and anticipating due to the developers behind it and the fact that it was a shooter set within the Star Wars universe and most likely a bounty hunting game. If you did miss last night's video, I would recommend watching that first before we delve into the nitty-gritty details. So there will be an icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen that you can click and it will take you to that video. Now on to what's happened today in the aftermath of this cancellation. Brand new details on the game have just been leaked. This is coming from Tom Henderson, who leaked that it was a Mandalorian game the other week. So sources have now come to him since the cancellation that apparently the game was fantastic. It's not just the developers saying that, but rather everyone who has had chance to playtest it. The feedback from those playtests were always positive and it was buzzing. Developers were enjoying the entire process of working on this project and, unfortunately, it's now over. Tom reiterates once again that this was not a game about Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, it was a Mandalorian, and you would be bounty hunting. The game would start with you in the Den, which would have been your base of operations, your ship, a map of the galaxy, an upgrade station, an armory, and more. Then from here you would be able to select which bounties you'd want to pursue and take out. The player would then equip the weapon that they wanted, upgrade their armour, and then go into the ship and land on the planet where the bounty is located. Somewhat similar to what we see in The Mandalorian show at the start of Season 1. Once again, it is reiterated that this was not an open world game. We did know this, it would be a linear level experience, but there were open areas that were on the more larger side for you to explore, to not just find bounties but also discover secrets. Combat, as we found out previously, it was going to be mostly focusing on your jetpack, the Mandalorian jetpack, so you'd be able to do vertical dashing, horizontal boosting to get high up. It sounds fantastic. There was also going to be a takedown feature, which apparently is very similar to what is seen in Doom. So your character, the Mandalorian, would perform takedowns, but it would be a lot less gory from what we see in Doom. In terms of enemies that you'd be facing, stormtroopers would be the majority that you'd be coming up against. Those would be patrolling most levels. So you'd have to try and complete your bounty whilst avoiding detection from the stormtroopers. And they also had different types, so there was a regular, a shotgun, a sniper, heavy with rockets, and more things like that. There would also be boss-like enemies periodically, such as an AT-ST. The enemies you come up against would depend on the planet you're on. For example, it could be a gang of outlaws, or another bounty hunter trying to beat you to your bounty. The game was still said to be at least a year or two away from release, but there was a fairly polished vertical slice and a few other missions/levels near completion, if only that ever got leaked. The fact that they had this polished vertical slice and a bunch of other levels near completion says to me that this game should not have been cancelled. It was moving along. And we also got platform confirmation. I saw some people talking a bunch of really random stuff regarding platforms, but we have confirmation here. It was in development for Xbox Series S and X, the PC, and PlayStation 5. Remember those job listings I showed you in last night's video that were up despite the game being cancelled? Yep, they're still up. Seriously. That is how off guard Respawn have been caught by this. EA have also issued yet another statement on the cancellation. So they cancelled this game and then spoke to a bunch of media outlets giving a few statements, and this is what Respawn had to say to VGC. Respawn's unique ability to connect with players and create exceptional game experiences is unrivaled in entertainment. As we've looked at Respawn's portfolio over the last few months, what's clear is the games our players are most excited about are Jedi and Respawn's rich library of owned brands, meaning Apex/Titanfall. Sure, the Jedi games are very popular, we know that. They have sold exceptionally well, they've reviewed exceptionally well, Star Wars fans love them. They are, to a lot of people, some of the best Star Wars stories. They are just very, very popular. But so is the shooter genre, and there are so many of us Star Wars fans that love Star Wars shooters. Playing as a Mandalorian has been a fantasy so many people have wanted for a very long time, be it through Star Wars 1313 or other titles that have been cancelled, or just the fact that people want to play as a Mandalorian because of the success from the show. Same goes for bounty hunting. Even if we didn't play as a Mandalorian, many people love the idea of wanting to be a bounty hunter in a game, and that would also be exceptionally popular, and this game was going to merge a first-person shooter with bounty hunting and a playable Mandalorian. I don't understand how they don't realise how excited people were. If you looked at the social media response to the leak just last week, it went viral. There was so much excitement. So many people were like, yeah, I'm into this. Can't wait for it. Respawn deliver, and this is a game I want. Very excited, but now it's gone. So I don't understand this statement at all. Yes, the Jedi games are popular, but so would this one be exceptionally popular as well. Let's now get into the reaction coming out of Respawn, the individual developers working on the game, as well as on other projects at the studio. According to Justin, who works on the Apex team, he said this FPS game was going to be incredible. He talks about how the cancellation hurts, not just as a colleague or a Star Wars fan, but as a gamer, and everything the team has shown off in internal meetings has been absolutely incredible. He said that the fact none of it will get to see the light of day is a tragedy, and I'm sure they were creating something amazing. We know what that team can do. There was a little bit of positive news that he confirmed though. Respawn are actually not losing any staff members, even though EA announced nearly 700 layoffs yesterday, along with the cancellation of this game. No one from Respawn is getting laid off, so at least this Star Wars FPS game team will be working at Respawn on stuff. But at the same time, they may also go on to other projects within EA. It's not the same, it's not good enough, but still it's something at least. It's a real shame and a big blow because a lot of people were backing this team. The systems designer on this Star Wars FPS game, Raim, did talk about this game being cancelled, and Justin responded saying he's really sorry and your team was cooking up something truly special and it's everyone's loss that the world won't get to experience it. Another senior designer on the game, Chen Armstrong, said he hasn't been laid off, but he is shell-shocked. Similar feelings were also tweeted by a bunch of other developers on this Star Wars FPS game team. They really were trying to give us something special, it sounds like, and they have been blindsided. It seems like it was very, very unexpected. And I think this is probably the most surprising because Respawn have been so successful. They haven't had projects like this cancelled as often as other studios. They have had stuff cancelled, stuff we haven't heard about, stuff we have, but the circumstances were different. The writing was more on the wall for those things, whereas this has just come out of nowhere. Patrick, who worked on Jedi Survivor and is now on the third Jedi game, said First Assault, 1313, Ragtag, and this FPS game from Respawn, and many more were real games made by incredible people just wanting to deliver awesome Star Wars experiences. The fact that people will never see so much of the incredible work that will never be released sucks. All of those games in that list hurt a lot of people, be it the developers and also the fans, that just wish they could see them for real and play them. But this one, for me personally, I would say is the worst of the bunch because Respawn have been my favourite developers for a decade now. Titanfall is 10 years old almost, and I've been covering Respawn since their beginning on my YouTube channel, going all the way back to well over a decade now, to when they split from Activision they were suing them and there was that massive lawsuit. I loved those Call of Duty games that they developed. I wanted them to succeed doing other stuff, so I closely monitored what they were doing, and we got Titanfall, which I adored, and over the past 10 years we've had amazing games from them. I like their design philosophy, their games development philosophy. As someone who loves first-person shooters, Star Wars games, Titanfall, it was all sounding like this was the game I wanted the most. It was all looking good as of a week ago. We likely won't get to see any assets from this unless someone leaks them, which maybe some will, but they also want to keep their jobs. Ragtag, we actually got something to look at, whereas with this, we don't have anything. All we got was an announcement 2 years ago that it was being worked on, and a team that were full of people that had created great games in the past. For example, the game director on this game is Peter Hirschman, who was a producer on the original Battlefront 2 game, The Force Unleashed, and other LucasArts projects. More recently, he wrote and directed Respawn's Medal of Honor VR game, which won an Oscar. It's the only video game to win an Oscar. And he was leading this FPS game. So that's why a lot of people were excited as well, just based on him leading this project. Unfortunately, that's it, really. There is nothing that we can do. The game's dead. It won't be picked up. It's over. That's just how things go. Some people have talked about a petition, but petitions do nothing, especially when it comes to games. If you remember back to Battlefront 2, when the DICE Battlefront team were told it's over, there was a petition with over 250,000 signatures. It doesn't do anything. It's nothing. It would have to be in the tens of millions, which there isn't that many people that care enough, unfortunately. What's more is that it's this weird coincidence where they cancelled this game on the same day the Dark Forces remaster released, which is actually the game that inspired this game. That's one of the main inspirations behind Respawn's title. So we got this remaster, incredible remaster of a 30-year-old game, and sort of not a spiritual successor, but one that has been heavily inspired by it, is now dead and won't see the light of day. It's over. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below, so please do let me know. I will continue to cover Star Wars gaming news, good or bad. Hopefully next time it will be good news. Subscribe so you don't miss any future Star Wars gaming videos, and if you've missed any of my previous videos, click on the playlist on screen right now, and I shall see you in my next video. Goodbye.